Come on, get them shackles off him. Poor sod can't eat proper.
Dunno, not sure I like that. What if he runs for it? He's worth a heap of coin.
Ah, bollocks. Been holding him a week, hasn't tried a thing. Why are you up and bolt now? Matter of fact, got to thinking. What did a sweet, gentle chap like him do to get the Queen of Zerrikania so riled?
She's a shrew, that's what. Queen and witch in one. Worst of both worlds.
Enough about her. What do you say to one more of your tales? While we toss down some cards.
Ah, why not? And since you mentioned one queen...
Alright, so this is Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. I'm really excited for this game, actually. I'm looking forward to playing through it. I really like Gwent in general, and as this is a Gwent-dominated game, I am really looking forward to playing it. Of course, this is just a little bit of an overview. I was thinking of doing a review of this, something along those lines. Baldur's Gate took a long time, so I'm going to do those a little bit more sparingly, unless requested down the road, of course. Right, here we go.
The year 1267. War hung in the air, its scent palpable. The mighty empire of Nilfgaard stood poised, greedily eyeing the northern realms just across the Yaruga. In light of the threat, the realm's sovereigns met in summit. They made declarations, pledged fraternal assistance, forged alliances, and then, in good spirits, dispersed. Among them, Neve, queen of the twin realms Lyria and Rivia. Know the name? Heard her beauty extolled? Justly so. Remarkable she was. Not for her graceful exterior, but for her persistence and courage. Where was I? As the queen and her retinue neared her capital, Count Caldwell appeared. In Neve's absence, the Count was to have helped her son, the youthful Prince Willem, run the Twin Kingdoms. Caldwell had clearly ridden hard. Drops of perspiration dangled from his whiskers, his neck red and chafed from a ruff, starched stiff.
Hail, Your Majesty! Delighted to see you in good health. The summit, it ended fruitfully, I hope?
Yes, at its end letters were exchanged, documents signed. Paper. Time will tell of what value. That will suffice as cordialities go, Caldwell. Tell me what's happened, for I sincerely doubt sheer longing prompted you to ride out.
Indeed, Your Grace. Another circumstance inspired me to do so. The strays of Sparla, the bandits, I was to tend to during Your Grace's absence. The situation's gotten out of hand, I fear.
I deliberated. Wasn't at all certain in giving you the task. I knew you to be an equally good strategist as I am a shepherdess. So my intuition said no. Yet Reynard interceded on your behalf. Your Grace, they're common bandits, while the Count will have a host of men-at-arms to command. Next time, I shall trust my gut. All right, speak. What has happened? Be precise.
As Your Grace ordained, I set out and was nipping at the bandits' tails for long. We pursued for weeks, until scouts returned, having sighted the strays' camp in the forest near Locheren. We waited for nightfall, to surprise them as they slept. Alas, it proved a ruse. We found the tents empty, straw-stuffed dummies round the fire. Soon, we learned that as we waited for the sunset, the strays had snuck away, rounded our positions and ridden to Hawksburn.
I beg your pardon, my lord. The tax collectors. That is where they station.
So the gold? All of it?
It's stolen, Your Grace, but I shall do all in my power to recover it. This I vow, if it be Your Grace's wish.
After weeks in the saddle, Your Grace's wishes are modest. A hot bath and a night's sleep in her own bed. Yet, they shall have to wait. I must look personally to this matter. Your force, Caldwell, I will now command. You... send a herald to Hawksburn. They must prepare for the Queen's arrival. Air the rooms, dust off the porcelain. Make certain they do it. Do you see now, Reynard? I believe I foretold it would be thus. My son wasn't ready in the least to rule an entire country.
I confess, Prince Willem has much to learn yet.
Yes. And very little time.
For some reason, I can't quite fathom. I have not purchased it or played it until now, so looking very much forward to diving right in. Big fan of Gwent. Really enjoyed it in The Witcher 3. It's quite a bit different in reality, the true game, from The Witcher 3, but that prompted me to search it online and find the Witcher card game separately online to play, which is a lot of fun in its own right. And that, of course, led to searching for the Witcher Gwent card game online, which, yeah, on its own is a blast to play. And based off of that, just as an aside, you never really know what you're going to get with that game. Each time you go into a match, it seems to me at least to be a 50-50 odd win or lose scenario, which makes the game much more fun. On we continue.
Oh, thought it were bandits riding in. Milka. They stretched her over a fire till she told them where she buried her gold.
I would like to go back and replay The Witcher 3 and perhaps do a retrospective overview of it for those who may have not played it and for those who may have already played it but wouldn't mind my take on it. Really is an incredible game. Not the biggest surprise, I assume most people do adore it. But of course, that's an aside. This is mainly focused on the Gwent version, or Gwent perspective of the Witcher universe.
Count Caldwell rode at the column's head, scanning its flanks with a wary eye that, despite his advanced age, proved very sharp indeed.
Your Majesty! Bandits! There! At the tree line!
The Count's footmen, unaccustomed to escorting their queen, sought to shield her with their bodies and assumed a tight formation to do so. They were promptly knocked aside as Meve charged headlong at the bandits, brandishing her blade and bellowing a ferocious cry.
Attack! Charge!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
To attack the Queen? An outrage!
Your Grace, the men await. You must lead to begin the attack.
So when going into this, I wasn't quite sure how similar this Gwent gameplay would be to The Witcher 3, which for a long time was my only experience
Spirits
with
with
Gwent.
salt of the earth, they are, Your Grace. They'd follow you into fire. You need simply say the word.
Since then, of course, I have played Gwent online and familiarized myself somewhat with the rules. I've always considered Gwent a unique game, weighing not only the weight of your cards as you play them, but the turns themselves.
I shall teach you to respect the crown, you dogs!
What is your opponent hiding behind that hand, you wonder? You don't want to throw out all your high-level cards in the beginning, so you start throwing out your weaker cards provision-wise, leaving you with the big boys for the later game. But your opponent, of course, knows this too, and so you're basically posturing for the first few minutes until one of you resigns your head and says, screw it. I don't want to give up my god cards early on, after all.
What? Who dares? The strays took tail and run!
Then they pass, recollect, and overwhelm you. That seems to be the trend for me at least, though
Look out! Seek cover! We are bombarded!
using Dwarf Swarm decks with buffing each turn seems to be a solid win strategy as of late. And the deck you are provided with, at least for this tutorial, seems to be pretty damn stellar. Not really having too much of an issue, winning these matches.
Yes! Our victory is assured! Sound the horns! May they sing praises of this triumph for ages!
Battle's not yet done. It is better to conserve our strength. Prepare for a strike that will prove decisive. Battle formation! Protect the Queen!
I've tried playing around with monsters and Nilfgaardian decks, and they're definitely strong in their own rights, but I think they just take a better player to play those types of decks. And I wouldn't say I'm subpar, but I'm definitely not in any top tier or anything.
Give me a target. Arbalist to your command.
We'll catch 'em all!
Probably should have said this earlier in the onset of the video, but trying to not talk while story is playing or if characters are talking, just so that people can see the tutorial.
I congratulate you on your latest victory, Your Grace. The bandits stood not a chance.
Matters seem indeed to have gotten out of hand, to put it mildly.
Neve said, arms crossed atop her shining breastplate.
They've grown bold. Doubtless after the raid on the manor, the tax collectors. I've not heard of an ambush on the high road afore.
Caldwell explained, avoiding his liege's wrathful gaze.
Enough, Caldwell. We must put things right. Come!
The Queen's retinue set out, cavalry in front, infantry and arbalists close behind, and, following in the rear, the bandits, bound in chains.
I do adore this prospect.
Yes. Lyria, the Pearl of the North. With its hills and dales. Why, its beauty matched only by that of its queen.
After 3 weeks in the saddle, I've my doubts, Count. We shall pitch camp here. Our soldiers need respite. A spell of it they deserve.
Alright, it seems like we have some upgrades here to apply to our camp, it looks like. Yeah, get a little bit of look into the deck editor here. You have a provision cost that you can't go over when you create your Gwent deck, and so you can try to add as many high-level legendaries as you can and epics, but you are restricted to an extent, so it does kind of limit the overly powerful decks. ahead and chat with this handsome
Bit
gentleman
of
here.
respite, Reynard.
Yes. But if you've any new orders, Your Grace, I can be ready at any...
At ease, Reynard. At ease. Don't you find it wearisome sitting alone? Wouldn't you prefer another's company? Swapping tales with the innkeep, even?
Your concern, I most appreciate, Your Grace. But I prefer silence.
Has it always been thus with you? Ever a man apart?
Quite the contrary, Your Grace. As a youth, I gloried in company, delighted in conversation.
So what was it that changed you?
That delight nearly cost me my head. But do you truly not know the tale, milady? How I came to be your departed husband's aide?
I don't, but would gladly hear it.
I had but 20 winters behind me when I enlisted. Yet I was granted the rank of lieutenant from the start, not by merit, but by birth. The respect of veteran officers, both my peers and seniors, that they could not grant, nor did I deserve it. To earn that respect became my driving aim, and to seem wise beyond my years, I began spouting off about the king's decisions. This maneuver Reginald botched, that he failed to think through, and yet elsewhere he'd blundered like a schoolboy.
Talk of that nature could only ever result in misfortune.
It was not long before I was clanking about in shackles. Another officer had reported me. I was charged with lèse-majesté. The court-martial took but a quarter of an hour to deliver verdict and sentence. I was guilty of treason, and the noose awaited me. But Reginald first stayed the execution, then ordered that I repeat every word I'd uttered about his person or deeds. Soaked with sweat, my voice cracking, I did as he ordained. Reginald listened, raptly and silently, and when I'd finished, he declared I was right. He then appointed me his personal aide. A clever lad like you, I can always use at my side.
Indeed. Though hardly sharp himself, wisdom in others Reginald both recognized and heeded.
It was then I swore two things. Firstly, never again to wag my tongue like a fool. Secondly, never to betray his trust.
And you never did. Know what he told me moments before he passed? Trust none of them, Meave. Save Reynard. The old sod was right about that, at least. I thank you for sharing that tale, Reynard. Truly. Alas, I've come to fear Willem might simply not be cut out to be a king, let alone a good one.
A harsh judgment, Your Grace. Let's not be hasty. The prince is but 16 summers to him.
And is thus fully grown. The crown he should be able to bear at his age. Yet I left the land in his care for but a few months, and look what's become of it. Bandits roam and loot unchecked.
We might yet learn of mitigating circumstances, events beyond his control.
Would that it were so, Reynard. Would that it were so. Elsewise we must hope Ancaeus will demonstrate more wit than his brother. Though I see little chance of that either. It's time I attended to other matters.
Worked in a mess once at serving no meat, not even sausage. Weren't long before the men rioted.
As a side note, I am thinking of doing some more personal, videos showing myself. However, I'm trying to aim to be completely anonymous.
Were it not for mandatory merchant routes and stacking rights, why, I'd have gone round, through Sodden.
Gods of mercy! Whatever is this filth?
Necrophages. Drawn here by blood's scent.
For such vile monstrosities to prowl the high roads of my realm. I won't allow it. Attack!
Is this what I pay taxes for? To be robbed along the high road, and in broad daylight, no less?
Fog in broad daylight, with the heat positively sweltering. Have we to do with some manner of sorcery?
We shouldn't exclude the possibility, my lord. And great caution we must exercise.
Should have listened to me old lady.
These carrion eaters. I know them. Appeared on my estate last spring, enticed by the...
Fearsome they look, true. But they bleed just as we do. Onward! Slay the filth!
Give me a target.
So fortunate we routed the beasts before they had a chance to gorge.
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
Your Grace, yet more come.
They fill their bellies, ma'am. This doesn't bode well. Oh no, not well at all.
Arbalist at your command.
Strong as steers they've grown, and they show no fear.
Frenzied, my lady. It's bloodlust. They lose all instinct to survive, feel no pain whatever. I've witnessed this before.
Your Majesty, we must give ground. Fall back. We can't win. Must minimize our losses. My queen, there is no shame in ceding the field when fortunes turn sour.
Victory must be ours now. We shall not retreat. Arms at the ready. Attack! Look there! Yet another abomination.
That stench. My salts. Where are my salts?
You know, I try to upload something every week at least. Whether that's a higher review, pre-roll. Typically, higher reviews are going to take a little bit longer, as are the pre-rolls. I focus a little bit more of my energy on them. These are a little bit easier to do. This footage is captured with me just talking as I'm playing, so it's actually fairly easy to get this recorded.
I'm a one second.
Her Majesty is exceptional. The beasts hadn't a chance against us. Victory is ours.
Many trees we've felled, my lady. Might you have need of them? So, take whatever your heart desires.
I really like this main character. Exudes power and prestige, as one should of her status, of course. I really love a game with a strong protagonist who's a woman. Definitely appreciate that. There's a lacking of games that star a female protagonist, or at least an option for a female protagonist. Even though this is just a little game, it's nice to see. And I'm working on some other games as well. Trying to get my review done of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's taking some time.
Lady, the masks they wear. Have you seen them? They've fangs, snouts, horns. Like a right proper nightmare.
So that may take a little bit longer, and I'm a bit behind schedule, but the pre-rolls and the higher reviews take some research. I have to make sure I have my facts correct, and a lot of video editing and audio editing.
Soon, Queen and retinue arrived at Hawksburn. The men stationed there they found standing at attention, baking under the blistering noonday sun.
Your Majesty, Count Caldwell.
Stand at ease, Sergeant, and report.
The local peasants we've rounded up in the yard, Your Grace. Expect they might have lent the bandits aid. Yet our courtesy hadn't inspired them. They hadn't peeped a word. Might it please your grace to summon the hangman? He ties a noose for them, should have them jabbering right quick.
I'll speak to them first.
Your Majesty, for the Queen to question commoners, why, it's simply not proper.
Whom for? I shan't be stripped of crown and titles for it, so no impediment do I see. Lead me to them.
Bow low for your sovereign, Her Majesty, Queen Maeve of Lyria and Rivia.
Ha' mercy, your grace. We bear no guilt, we simple folk.
Calm your hearts, good folk. Though your queen I may be, you are subjects, not slaves.
Maeve extended a hand, the royal ring gleaming upon it. Unfamiliar with protocol, a pleb gripped it firmly and gave it a shake as hearty as a good scrub in the tub.
My, we shall be addressing one another by name afore long.
This is an outrage! Guards! Grab him!
I've all in hand, Caldwell.
Forgive me, your grace. I'm not accustomed, nohow.
Nonsense. You've a firm grip, a spry handshake, and a bold spirit I can respect. What do they call you, man?
Helmer, son of Florence.
Delighted, Helmer. Now understand me, man. I am in dire straits and in need of your aid, so please answer my queries in full and forthrightly. The bandits, whom do they follow?
Him, milady. We seen him. No name, just an odd title. The Duke of Dogs, they call him.
My, a blue-blood thoroughbred mutt. Where are he and his hounds bound? Did he say?
Thou recall, Imogen? What the name? A Gleeton or something?
Clayton. Lord Clayton. His estate lies to the south.
Sound the horns. Have the men form up. We march at once.
Milady! Arbor no higher for the Duke. He's a good man. Gave us proper brass for the welcome we gave him. Shared what grub he had.
Shut it, louts! The Queen's had her say. Your grace, your orders. What are we to do with them?
The Duke of Dogs fed you, so you've strength enough to carry arms. And as he gave you coin, you've no need of pay from the realm's coffers. Sergeant, all men of 15 summers or more will join our ranks at once. They'll serve 5 years.
No, milady. No! 'Tis mere weeks to harvest. Who'll tend to fields?
Maeve set off toward Lord Clayton's estate at a gallop, her mount knocking the peasants aside as it kicked up a cloud of dust. The folk of Hawksburn spoke of the royal visit long after, albeit ever behind closed doors and in hushed tones.
What is this, Reynard? Bandits attacking royal tax collectors in broad daylight.
They shall pay dearly, your grace.
They shall indeed. And not only they. Rot has crept into Lyria, Reynard. My kingdom has been poorly kept. That rumble. What is it?
Look out! Rock slide!
The bluff crumbles! Fall back! Save yourselves!
Your Grace, the wagon. We can use it as cover. Forward. We must move it forward.
What now?
You're far fewer than I presumed. Summon your comrades, damn it! Chop chop! Before I reach for my whip.
One boat I need. Give me a target.
Ha!
Our ballista, your
The
command.
wagon! Use the wagon now!
We've come through, Reynard. I thank you.
The walls of the temple collapsed. The buttress is doubtless damaged by something.
Or someone. There's naught we can do here. We ride on.
A peasant cart, loaded with a heap of hay, came rattling down the road from the opposite direction.
Clear the road!
Bellowed Count Caldwell, standing in his stirrups.
Make way for your queen!
The peasants obediently turned their cart into the roadside nettles. As she passed, Meave glanced towards it and froze. Atop the hay bale lay a badly wounded man gripped by fever. The thick, sweet stench of rot wafted from his bandaged legs.
Gods. Who did this to him?
Meave asked.
Bandits?
Nay, milady,
replied the cartman.
'Twere a beast. Out to the east, down Wetterton way, lies a boneyard, old as the elves, they say.
The peasant continued.
Clayton was setting snares round about there. Came running back to us, drenched in blood, rattling on about a long-haired wench come climbing out a grave. We's taken him to the good sisters of Melitele here on bridge. Perhaps they can help him.
I'm certain they can. And will.
Replied the queen. Though just looking at the wounded wretch, she knew he'd expire before nightfall.
God speed you on your journey.
The queen whistled, and her mare resumed its trot.
Shall I send for a witcher, your grace?
Caldwell asked.
One of those freaks should make short work of the monster.
Until we apprehend the bandits, I shan't allow a single soul to leave our company. Even on such an important mission as finding a witcher.
Meave replied.
Any who did would be captured at once. But, if fate brings us near Wetterton, perhaps we'll see to this monstrous harridan ourselves.
Your grace, we've only just fought beasts and scarcely escaped with our lives. This she-beast will take a silver sword. Magic formulae.
Yet a dozen arbalists will have to suffice.
The queen said, calmly but firmly.
And please, Caldwell, do stiffen your spine a bit. Now onward.
Alright, so this has been the tutorial of Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. Really loving it so far. So we'll go ahead and end it here for this, and more than likely I'll go ahead and do a slapper review of this game. But thank you very much for watching.